right? So there are two different things in a when we talk about a battery cell. So the first one is the voltage. Voltage is the potential energy, and then you have the current. So the current is basically the amount of flow that the battery can kind of push through, right? So there are two different things, voltage and current, and you also have something called as the capacity. So capacity is something like, I mean, for those of you from the mechanical side, if this is getting too confusing, this is how I think of it. So capacity is basically, you can think of it as liters. How many liters of water, right, can you store? So that liters is basically capacity, and current is basically your water or water which is flowing. You can think of this as a nozzle, so or not a nozzle, maybe a valve. So you could have 50-liter capacity, but if you open it and current or water is going out at the rate of 10 liters a second, 50 liters is your capacity, then in 5 seconds you have used it up. So I basically try to think of it like that. So now usually like these have very less capacities. So if you want to build something like 700 mAh, then basically you need to wire up the battery cells in parallel. So number of parallel cells, they increase the capacity. Number of cells in series increase the voltage levels. So now this battery pack, right? This is not a single cell. This is a battery pack. Lithium-ion battery pack is made of, maybe if you go by our cases, this has got 14 cells in parallel. We call it as 14P. So when you put 14 cells in parallel, you get 3.7 volts, but you get 700 milliampere hour. That's basically you have two different capacities. One is the energy capacity, and the other is the coulometric capacity. Basically the same thing. 700 mAh multiplied by 3.7 volts will give you 2.6 watt hour, right? So this is probably something fundamental you need to understand about the batteries. So with this in mind, now we can go and we can start defining um, how to figure out what is the various parameters in a battery, because from here starts our actual consideration into the chargers as well, right? So now again, since this is going to be an electric vehicle, let's take a electrical component and let's probably like go forward with that. Let's take the case of a radiator fan. So this is a radiator fan that you see here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try and figure out how much power this is going to consume. Okay, so a car's battery can provide only 12 volts. Okay, it's all a 12-volt system. You either have a 12-volt, or in the case of commercial vehicles, you have a 24-volt system. You don't have anything else. It's just one of these two, either a 12 or a 24-volt system. Now, you also know that the radiator fan, you probably know that the radiator fan has got, it's a 100-watt system, right? Assuming that you have this information, then what do we do with it? So now you know that power is equal to voltage into current. So you know voltage, which is 12 volts fixed, power is 100 watts. So what we can do is you can calculate what is the current flow based on this, right? So the current draw would be equal to the power divided by voltage. In our case, 100 watt divided by 12, 8.3 amps is what it's going to consume. So now this is instantaneous current which flows through the fan. If this fan is running for 15 minutes, then you would consume 8.3 into 15. That gives your 8.3 into 15 gives your ampere hour, which is your coulometric capacity, or energy is power over time. So in this case, power over time would be 100 into 15 by 60, or 25 watt hour, because we typically mention power in terms of hours, right? So watt hours is something which is a standard unit that we do use. So we have calculated 25 watt hour. So now what this tells you is, suppose you had a battery, okay, and let's say assume that this had a capacity of 100 watt hour. 100 watt hour is the energy capacity of the battery. Suppose it had 100 watt hour to start off with. And now after running your radiator fan for 15 minutes, you have consumed 25 watt hour. So what remains here is probably this, right? So this is going to be 75 watt hours. Now, very often, we need to have some kind of an indication for this. So we use certain terms called as state of charge or state of discharge to indicate this. So now state of charge, or it's called as SOC. So that basically tells you how much charge is present in the system. whereas depth of discharge tells you how much has been depleted. Like say, for example, in this case, you would say SOC is 100 percentage or 1, and depth of discharge is basically 0 percentage. In this case, you would say SOC is 10%, whereas depth of discharge is 90%. So DOD is basically 1 minus SOC, right? So they are kind of like related that way. It's just that they measure different things. If you measure what is inside, it is SOC. If you measure what is being taken out, it is depth of discharge. Now, why are we so bothered about it? We are bothered about it because when we speak about charging systems, so now we touch upon our original topic. So when we talk about charging systems, we need to figure out how to fill in these cells, right? Now, for our case, let's assume that there are um, 5 different cells, cell number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, we need to connect a charger to it. Now you'll have to assume that all of these 5 cells, let's just assume that all of these 5 cells are in a battery pack. So this happens to be your battery pack. If it's a battery pack, then you know there can only be one positive and one negative connection. Now this positive connection is basically, let's assume that it is divided like this. This is a parallel connection. It is connected like it. It's a parallel connection. So positives to positives, negatives to negative is a parallel connection. We would denote this as 5P, 5 cells in parallel. Now, what do you think will happen if I connect my charger with the battery pack in this kind of a scenario? What do you think is going to happen? This cell is at 10%. It can take 90% is what this can take, right? So this can take 90% charge. This is probably going to take only about 70%. This can take only about 40%. This can take another 10% of charge. This cannot take any charge at all. So which means it is possible for us to have multiple cells with multiple charge levels inside a battery pack. It can happen because when they manufacture a battery pack, they have some manufacturing defects. So maybe, okay, so I'm just exaggerating here. So maybe we don't have so much of difference, but we would definitely have a difference like this is at 90% SOC, this is at 95%, this is at 92%. Okay, it is very much possible for us to have this kind of a variation. So this is usually like we consider this to be a minor variation. So we would probably like think that this is something which is admissible, right? We would not probably like think too much of this when we are manufacturing it even or assembling it. But when we're charging it, if we charge everything to 100%, ideal cases we cannot, because the moment this goes to 100%, you have to stop charging, because if you overcharge a cell, then it can basically like burst. Um, there's a lot of mechanism which happens. There's a lot of theory behind it, but the general principle is that you never overcharge any cell. So if this reaches 100%, you'll have to stop it, which means this will be 93, this is going to be 95, this is going to be 98, this is going to be 93%. So even with a fully charged battery, you don't have the cells with equal capacities. Similarly, when you're discharging, you cannot discharge it to 100% levels. You can discharge only to 93% because 93, you cannot over discharge a cell, right? So maybe 10% is the bare minimum we have to maintain, which means 83% is the depth of discharge we can touch. You cannot touch 100% or a 90% even depth of discharge we cannot touch, because the moment this goes into 90% discharge, this would have probably gone way lower than the minimum permissible levels, right? So what does this tell us? First thing, we cannot think of charging systems without first understanding what batteries are, which is why we are looking at batteries. And the second thing is, it is not uniform. No matter what we try, it is not going to be uniform. So either we figure out how to uniformly charge it, or we accept the fact that they are not uniform and we try to find a workaround. Now with 5 cells, maybe you can find out easily. You can put a voltmeter, measure it, something easily we can do. But imagine that you have maybe a typical electric vehicle, okay, an electric car. I don't know, maybe it would have about 15,000 cells. 15,000 cells, right? And how do you measure each one of the 15,000 cells? Even if the voltage measurement IC is about 20 rupees per cell, you are looking at something like about 3 lakh rupees in instrumentation cost alone, which is basically like it's not going to happen. So we need to figure out how to live with this discrepancy and how to make the best of it, which is basically why we have started with the battery side of things. We are measuring the capacities, and we are also going to be calculating how well this works and how we are going to work with this, right? So I'm just trying to calculate what could possibly be the charge at the end of our cycle. So assuming that we are running the vehicle with a lead acid battery, okay, 12 volt, 60 ampere hour battery. So we would say that 60 ampere hour is 100% capacity. I'm talking about ampere hours again here, right? So I hope I have, yeah. So I'm talking about ampere hours basically because that's how batteries are demarcated. Batteries, you don't get whatever capacities, you get ampere hour. So ampere hour is capacity in terms of current. We call this as coulometric capacity. So if you want to convert this into watt hour, because watt hour is what we calculated earlier, multiply current by voltage. So 12 into 60 gives me 720 watt hour. So now when you go to buy a battery for your diesel car and they say what amperage battery, what size battery you want, 60 Ah, 50 Ah, it basically denotes the storage capacity, how many liters. 60 Ah has got more current than your 50 Ah battery. So 720 watt hour is again energy which is in the battery. Now if I were to consume 25 watt hour from it, my SOC will be calculated something like this. So SOC is basically going to be 720 minus 25, right? Let's calculate how much it is. 720 minus 25 is 695 by 720 is about 96.5% is my SOC. So I can come here and say after this whole thingy, my SOC is only 96.5%. So this is basically how we calculate SOCs. But let's quickly like skip this and go to the more interesting parts. This is basically about how we calculate discharge rates and other things. So I'm going to skip this, right? So now let's go and let's kind of like look a bit more into the cells as possible. So forget C rates, but let's look at cells. So a battery, you can kind of represent it as a electrical circuit, right? So when you represent it as an electrical circuit, usually how we draw batteries in an electrical circuit is to put cells or batteries is to put something like this. So this is positive, this is negative. You put one single thing, it means it is a single battery cell. If you have a battery pack, you would basically use something like this. So if you use something like this, then it means it's a series cell. So suppose we have a AA battery, 1.5, then this circuit, what it says is you connect 3 of it in series to get 4.5 volts. And we would just draw something like this, maybe, all our life, this is basically how we have drawn electrical circuits. Now this says there is a bulb, connect positive to positive, negative to negative, bulb will start glowing. This is kind of how we have understood electric circuits, but actually speaking, you cannot just represent a real battery with something like this alone. That's because there is something called as internal resistance in the battery. So there is some internal resistance in the battery. Now, this is kind of how we will represent a battery, or this is actually how a battery behaves. So now, this is going to be positive side, this is going to be the negative side. So you might ask, what is this internal resistance that you're talking about? Can I take a multimeter and go measure the internal resistance? You might not be, because it's too less, right? But whether it is too less or it is too high or whatever it is, you cannot forget the fact that there is something called as an internal resistance. So this internal resistance, what happens is every time some current is being taken out from the battery, it gives rise to I square R losses. I square R losses are heating losses. They are also called as ohmic losses. So whenever you start discharging it, this heat, it will be generated inside the battery, and because of it, the battery